Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and for the 200th time, this is Running to Right. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being here. It's been quite a journey. I have some notes here. So, way back when, in April 19th of 2021, Monday, April 19th, 2021, that was when the first episode came out. That was back when I was doing pre-recorded episodes, and I had some fun audio issues wherein I then had to edit the audio. The tools that I was using to record, if I record for longer than 10 minutes, the video and audio will get out of sync. So I'd have to manually go through and cut the audio so that matched the video. It was a lot. Yeah. So at that point, I hadn't published any books. And those early episodes were based entirely around things I've learned along the way of publishing. In a sense, it was don't do things the way I did them or thought differently. Learn from my mistakes. I think in one episode, I actually said, I'm doing things wrong so that you don't have to. And the humble beginnings were great. Essentially, I was creating episode topics in real time based on episodes based on issues I was facing while publishing my novels. Sure enough, if I started off in April, I think, yeah. So I feel like 2021 was when I published my first novel. So from April, then I published it in October, I think. Otherwise, it was 2022. I don't know. Time is relative at this point. Either way, it's been 200 episodes. When I first started posting these episodes, I hadn't published. And yeah, 2001 was a long time ago, yes. But 2021 is what I keep referring to. Sorry. That's what I keep referring to. And it's been great. I mean, at the time, I can't remember how many of you I actually knew. I feel like Emma, Richard, I don't think I knew you on day one. I think it was when I was trying to reach out to other YouTubers and I was hanging out on other people's channels. Obviously, Adriana, yes, I did know you in 2021. We were married at the time, so it goes without saying. Yeah. But there have been some pretty creative episodes. In fact, for the 100th episode, I just sat there and played video games, which was a lot of fun. That's that one right there, where for episode 100, I decided to go through, do a playthrough of my favorite video game, Chrono Trigger. The first part of it, obviously, the first 2.5 hours. And I wanted to see how far I could get. And while I was going through, I was talking about what writers can learn from playing video games. And in fact, that video game is so amazing because of the all-star talent who helped write it. So it was a combination of three greats. I don't remember off the top of my head who they were. I know Akira Toriyama, obviously, from Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. I think he was a designer. I don't know how much he contributed to the actual story. Again, in episode 100, I had all this information available for me. This is just off the top of my head. I think one of the story writers for Dragon Quest, and I think somebody who worked on Final Fantasy was there too. The music is fantastic. Yasunori Mitsuda. I want to say that is. I might not remember the storyteller, the writers, the directors of Chrono Trigger, but I think Yasunori Mitsuda was the composer. And I know there was kind of the original composer got sick due to this video game. The original composer got sick, which is definitely sad. And I think somebody stepped in from there. So I don't remember the order of it, but yes, you were in fact there. Well, the rain thing still is pretty weird. I actually ran 10 miles this morning just because. So thank you, Richard, for pointing that out. Laura, hey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just reminiscing here. If any of you have a favorite episode feel free to post it. I am going to post mine. So hands down, my favorite episode, and actually, yeah, it's this one. And in fact, I can figure out when I published my first novel because this was my unboxing. And this came out 2 years ago. Okay. That doesn't seem right. Might have been, no, might have been 2023 then that I published my first novel. Huh. Okay, so I guess I had my YouTube channel out there for 2 years before I buckled down and published a novel. Fair enough. So according to math, it says then 2023 is when I published my first novel. And like I said, this is my favorite Running to Write episode where it was my unboxing video. And that one was pretty emotional. So up until that point, I had been writing for easily a decade. I had been creating this content and speaking with a whole bunch of you author-tubers out there and learning from you. And eventually I buckled down and I've decided that I had revised my book enough. I had sent to professional editors enough. I had gotten beta readers. I had gotten critique partners. I had gotten as much as I possibly could to get it out there. And so I finally decided to publish my novel. And for this unboxing video that's right there, on live TV, I held my book, physical copy of it for the first time. It was obviously an author edition. There were definitely mistakes in there, but that was one singular, pure moment of absolute joy because something I worked on for so long was in the world at that point. I mean, technically, had I done nothing, obviously I would have wanted to fix those mistakes that I recognized within the author copy of that book. But technically, if I had done nothing at the point of unboxing my debut novel, it still would have come out, which is kind of, it's like when you're on a roller coaster and you're at the top and you know that the only way you're getting off this thing is through the loops and everything. And you're already kind of just feeling the weight of everything pulling you back down, gravity and everything. So yeah, that one is hands down my favorite episode. And Eva, thank you for joining in. Yes, holy moly. It's been a long one. Now I'll share my most popular episode after the break, but I am really excited to get started writing today. So I want to get in some productivity sprints. Oh yeah, and I can also discuss things have definitely changed because there was an there was an episode that I did about villains where I described how I dislocated my finger on a run. So you can see that my pinky is not in line with the rest of them. That was a very fun day, not unlike today's run where the weather was being weather and it started off upper 30s, I think, but by the end of it, it had dropped down to below 30 and it was raining, sleet, snow mix, and I could feel the ground was getting slippery towards the end of it. So needless to say, not needless to say, on a few years ago on the run that I did today, the longer version of it takes me down some granite steps and it's, 6-7 miles into the run. So I'm kind of loopy at that point, not 100% up there mentally. And I wasn't quite paying attention to how worse the conditions had gotten. So when I first started off, it was light rain. It wasn't too bad, but that became this sleek, slippery, wintry mix. And so I took 2 steps down the granite stairs and slipped, banged the hell out of my ribs on the back and dislocated my finger, popped it back into place, and then just kept running to finish out the run. So that was good times. Definitely hurt to breathe for a couple of days because, like I said, I bruised the hell out of my ribs. And this guy is not going back to starting position. I'll say that much. That's where, oh, yeah, I definitely did. And of course, like, as I was doing it, there was somebody who was scooping ice onto the stairs because they were, in fact, slippery. And he's like I could see him holding out his hand, trying to get me to stop. And I'm like, no, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. And then just immediately slip and fell. So, yeah. I mean, okay, well, to be fair, maybe you shouldn't because you live in the UK where you have good doctors. I went to my doctor. Ironically enough, I had a doctor's appointment scheduled that Tuesday. So I went there and they basically took a look at it and they're like, well, we can run x-rays on it, but at this point, there's nothing we can do. We can without surgery. I'm like, well, can't you just get me one of those braces that'll help get it back into the original position? And they said no, because American medical systems, yeah, that place is not very great. In fact, the only in what 30 plus years, well, in 15 years of professional experience, so when I'm off my parents' plans and whatever, the only good doctor I've had was one office. And unfortunately, they went private, which means that I needed to pay an additional like $3,000 to have the doctor's office be on call, which is really dumb. So now I just go to the closest place to me, and their doctors aren't good, but their nurse staff is. So I go there. The doctors just go through the checkbox. They're done talking to me in 5 minutes. And the nurses take good care of me. They draw the blood and do all the check, like the usual annual checks that they should do. So the cholesterol, I don't know what else there is. There's a lot in there. The only one that actually matters to me is cholesterol. So everything is within normal levels, but whatever. Not to be confused with the terrible doctor I had when I first at my first, big boy job where I was fully insured and I had excellent health insurance. And the guy checked off every single box, which was from a doctor's standpoint, irresponsible way of doing it. And yes, I understand that the first time, it's fine. I was luckily living across the street from where the facility that draws my blood is. So I literally like crawled across the street and then just passed out for the rest of the day because they took so much of my blood. And then 6 months later, he checked off every box again. And I'm like, this guy is terrible. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, well, for the moment, my wife and I are now going to the same dentist because the dentist that I used to go to was pretty good. And then they shifted locations and now they are sponsored by Invisalign and they went corporate and their entire quality changed and dropped. So now I'm going to the place that my wife recommended and we'll see. Thus far, they've been fantastic. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they had. I seriously do refer to that doctor as Dr. Acula because of how much blood he checked off every 6 months. And at one point, and every single person I talked to was like, yeah, I listed off like the checks that they were performing. And every single person since has said, you're a healthy guy. At that point, I was in my 20s, early 20s. In fact, I was training. I was doing a lot more running than I am now. And I was in fantastic physical fitness. And they just abused the fact that I was fully insured. Oh, yeah, that is. I can't remember if we were dating at the time when I had that doctor, but I definitely have since had terrible doctors who who um who I've had since we've been dating. Yeah, adults should go to the doctors every once a year, but like I said, when I had that fantastic health insurance plan, they sent me to a regular doctor every 6 months even though I had zero health conditions. Because money. All right. I have dawdled along for long enough. And I think it's time to do some writing. Huh. Yeah, so we don't go to our doctors when I don't go to my doctors when I'm sick. Like I said, when I went to the doctor with a dislocated finger, they basically said there's nothing they could do. So I have no faith in my doctor system. But I guess if basically all I do is I go there to check and make sure that things are all right. In fact, sorry, let me go off on a little tangent and then we can go back and rein this in and then start doing some productivity sprints. I did have a significant issue that I wanted to get taken care of, and my doctor basically told me, "Hey, you know, you gotta go somewhere else. You gotta go to a specialist," which is perfectly fine. Then I'm like, "Hey, so can you give me a recommendation? Because most of these places take recommendations." And now I just realized that I can just go anywhere that's in network, and the recommendations that they need is just on paper. It doesn't actually matter, and so yeah. Basically, the point of that is that our annual doctors don't really do much. If we are actually sick, good luck. It's a crapshoot for quality. In fact, I kept going to one place to try and get things taken care of, and they didn't really do a good job of it. So I had to shift over to another place, and they, fixed everything. So all good there. But yeah, it really sucks that with our health, we need to kind of try and try again until we find a place that works for us. Oof. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I know there are people with worse conditions than me, so I shouldn't be complaining. And it just sucks that we don't really have quality. We do have quality doctors. They are one, very expensive, and two, they are few and far between. Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for sharing that, Eva. Yeah, I mean, it is important to regularly see your doctors. I'm not saying don't go see them. I'm just saying that the doctors that I do see are functionally useless, and that the nurses and the tests that they run are why I go to those annual check-ins. So the actual conversation I have with the doctors is like a wash, but the tests that they perform, the blood tests that they run, that's where the important stuff is, and that's where they actually catch potential issues before they become actual issues. Huh. Yeah, that sounds about right. That is true. In fact, the doctors, they've gone, I mean, they're fully corporate now, so they've gone to a different location, which means that when I'm up for my annual checkup, I need to make a decision about whether or not I want to drive a little bit further, which was the whole point of me going to this one. I basically choose my healthcare providers by the person who's closest to my house, and then I adjust from there. So I might just find somebody else altogether if I need to drive a little bit further, anyways. But yeah, so this has been my commentary on the uh, on the U.S. healthcare system. You never know what you're going to get here. I shifted from my favorite Running to Rate episodes to just yeah, I know. Geolocation is a terrible way of deciding doctors. Whatever, it's fine. As we've learned, when I fell down those stairs, I'm very bouncy. So yeah. Jeez, Richard, I no, no. Ben the bouncer. No, no, it's just that I fell down some stairs and I didn't. I mean, I hurt myself pretty badly, but I was able to still run home afterwards. Yeah, so that's the thing is that the nurse practitioners at this facility were fantastic. The doctors themselves were terrible. So it's kind of just choosing your battles. Yeah, my pinky's fine. Whatever. All right. Anyways, I am probably Yes, I ran home. It was only 3 miles. It's fine. The problem, well, it wasn't actually fine. The problem was now that I had started to be aware of the surroundings, the bridge that I run across, the sleet was starting to accumulate. So I was definitely slip sliding a little bit on the way back. So all kinds of things. Funnily enough, yes, I'm definitely understanding like it's not like I'm more aware of things that don't necessarily fit right. Also, because it's dislocated, it's much more sensitive to cold, which means that if I'm not wearing my gloves right or whatever, this pinky is the first thing that goes numb, which is a good indicator of an actual injury. No, I couldn't have got an Uber home because I don't run my phone, and my wife hates that. So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's only a little bit out of alignment, so it doesn't actually affect my typing. Well, I mean, if I'm actually hurt, my phone's not going to do much. Chances are pretty good that if I'm legitimately hurt, that I would have probably landed on my phone anyways. So, besides, I'm never really that far away from the house except on my really, really long runs, in which case it's about 4 miles. Or I could technically, if something goes bad, I can kind of cut it short, maybe. So instead of running 4 miles back, it would only be three. Either way, there's a couple of shortcuts here and there. Okay. America in a nutshell. Joke's on you. I'm out the door before she wakes up, so she can't stop me. Hmm. Yeah, that is true. Although I know I run by at least one urgent care facility. I think I run close to a couple of others. So sure, there are some dead zones where there's nothing. Well, I mean, I run alongside the road, so if somebody sees me fall, obviously they can call and get help. So I'm never, well, most of the time I'm never actually alone, and a lot of times I do pass by somebody, or I can, drag myself into the road and flag down somebody. So it's not like I'm ever truly by myself. So if I do actually fall, and if I were genuinely in trouble, those guys who I ran by when I fell down the stairs could have helped me out. Oh, I have no idea how the quality of the urgent cares are near me. I just know that they are there. Huh. Yep. But I think it's time that I'm going to do a productivity sprint because I'm really excited to write right now. I got a whole bunch of things to work on. And yes, I did progress from chapter 18, which I was working on Monday, to now be chapter 19. And I have a little bit in here. Plus, I edited chapter 18. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am very, very lucky with how durable I am, is probably the best way of thinking about it. Yes, stairs and weather are a bad combination. Yes, I know I should not have run downstairs at all in my run. I now no longer do, especially granite steps, because they are very easy to slip on, even when the conditions are good. But that being said, let's get productive here. I have 400 words of chapter 19 going, and I'm going to double back and add some stuff to an earlier chapter, and then just forge ahead. So I will see you all on the other side of 30 minutes. And then we just keep chatting it up. So, hey, Martin, welcome. And you're just in time for some productivity sprints. So thank you for joining in. I'm going on mute, and I will see you all in 30 minutes. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's see here. Thank you for, let's see, Richard, Jamie, thanks for joining in. And yes, 200 is quite an accomplishment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. And Maggie and Eva. Maggie has a great suggestion for PT, and I just looked into it really briefly, so I might be able to do some exercise there. This is all a really old injury. I think it's at least 2 or 3 years old at this point. So anything I can do now is probably limited. I mean, honestly, anything I could do after the first day was probably limited, but I will definitely try and do some physical therapy to see if I can. I mean, I have full feeling in this finger. Again, it is a little bit sensitive to cold, but I will see if I can get back to, chip shape and looking normal, I guess, or at least in line with the other ones. Yeah, I ran home and then there were no docs until 2 days later, maybe 3. I think it was only 2. And the doc basically said there was nothing she could do without surgery. So, yeah. Awesome, Richard. 860 words. Now, let me figure out how much I've written. So, we are here. So, currently I had 421 words. So, let's see what I am at now. I think it's a lot more than that, hopefully. $736. So about 300 words. Not too bad. Decent start. Again, I did get a little bit distracted, and I went back and edited something in the previous chapter, and I looked up finger dislocation. So, there is that. Yeah, honestly, I don't have too much, so I might just do one more 20 minutes. I might just do one more 20-minute sprint and then kind of call it. So that way I can keep working on the current chapter. But I might be respectful of your time for everybody who's here, so I might just the episode will still be an hour and a half long, so there's no sense in keeping everybody too late as we just reminisce on all the awesomeness of running to write. Now, for those of you who are curious, my most popular episode in the 4 years of doing this is this. This is the formatting manuscripts with Readsy, and that's the only video I have with over 1,000 views. It's a lot of fun to do. It's a really helpful tool, and honestly, even up until like a month ago, somebody just randomly happened to see it and asked me some questions about formatting with Readsy. Now, unfortunately, Readsy can do a lot to normalize text. Or sorry, the good news is that Readsy can do a lot to normalize text, but the bad news is that it's very limited in what it can do. So a lot of people come asking me for ways to add in page breaks, which I don't think Readsy can do, or other things like that. Now, in terms of the runner-up, so my most popular episode has over 2,000 views, which is, like I said, the format manuscripts with Readsy. And then the runner-up is this one, which is the 7 tips to write time travel stories, which is kind of surprising because I don't know. I feel like I've done more helpful episodes, but somehow that one has over 700 views, which is awesome. And I am, if you can't tell, a huge fan of time travel. This is from, like I said, my favorite video game, Chrono Trigger, which I did a Let's Play of for the 100th episode, which was a lot of fun. And somehow, yeah, of all my topics, I've done a whole bunch of them. I've done the hero's journey. I've done editing videos. I've done finding a professional editor. I've done all kinds of different things. And I'm honestly struggling to figure out what attracts people to specific videos. So I basically just do whatever. I mean, right now I'm doing the productivity sprints, but my topics are basically whatever is on my mind at any given point. Oh, when did I start? Episode 1 was Monday, April 19th, 2021. So we're almost at 4 years. I have a 4-year episode that I'll probably do as well as this 200. And yeah, thank you for joining in, Lauren. Good to see you. Good to hang out. Is there a topic that you've covered that you haven't covered that you want to? I honestly don't know. That is a great question. If there is a topic I haven't covered, I'll say not to my knowledge, because I am definitely kind of grasping at straws for topics to cover. I've covered the writing process, how to write, how to start writing. If you have an idea in your head, where do you go? I've discussed tools. I've discussed process. I discussed how much do I pay Richard? I don't actually pay Richard to be here. He is a free publicist. So, you get what you pay for. Oh, yeah. I did a little writing with AI demo where I showed kind of how that doesn't really work. I think I fed in some of my works, and then I tried to get to write the next chapter for me. And while, yes, there were words written, the content and quality of those words were definitely lacking. Now, to be fair, I did this like a month before OpenAI, ChatGPT came out with their big platform and everything. So if I were to do this now, AI might have a different story and it might not be so one-sided. But back then, writing with AI was a clear deficiency, or at least writing is clearly deficient if you want quality work, and that you could easily use AI to generate, 100,000 words, but that the substance, the themes, the character development, those would all be shallow shells. So that's my anti-AI rant there for you. So let's see. Today's rants, we've thus far discussed how awesome writing to write is, how terrible the American healthcare system is, and how terrible and how much I dislike the option to write with AI or to use AI generated content. And Lauren, thank you for joining in. Let's see here. I think that's a good answer to your question. I don't honestly know what topic I've yet to cover that I want to. If there is a topic, please do let me know, because that would be, well, like I said, I'm sort of grasping for straws in terms of what to do when I eventually do shift out of these productivity sprints. So ideally, when I finish a draft of book 4, who knows when that'll be, maybe the end of the year, I would like to get back to doing some questionable writing advice through running metaphors. So if you have any topics, I will happily address them in an episode. Have I asked ChatGPT for topic to use? No. So I do a lot with ChatGPT, but the annoying thing is that I essentially use ChatGPT like Google, because Google is now trash, where the top answers are ads or people who, companies, places that pay to serve their content first. And then there's all the SEO optimization. And I find that when I do a Google search or whatever, and enter, even DuckDuckGo is guilty of this too, where the top answers aren't good. It's kind of like looking for a recipe where you might be able to find the recipe, but then you have to scroll through pages and pages of the story about how the recipe came to be, and multiple ads across the page. And so using ChatGPT basically just streamlines the answer that I need, the answer that I'm looking for. Now, I do need to do a little bit of research to make sure that the answer is correct. And luckily, it does kind of give links to the answers to where I can find the actual answers. So I can find some published website that gives something. It's not perfect, but it is certainly better than Google, which is kind of a sad world that we're living in, that we need to use AI to now parse through, to now avoid the AI generated content that is being served up to us through Google. Anyways, Nicole, thank you for joining in. Platform versus platform performance for the trilogy. I don't understand exactly what that could be. Platform performance for the trilogy. Are you talking about the platforms I used to write my 3 books? Because I've done comparisons of Ingram Spark versus publishing through Kindle, Amazon, KDP. So I don't know exactly. Your algorithms are good at making you think everyone's algorithms are like yours, but last nope. Yes, that is probably true. Ooh, okay. Authortube collabs are always great. Sure, sure, sure. I did. Oh, what was the one? Emma just had one that I did a few months ago. I don't remember what the topic was. Yeah. Well, and Adriana says this all the time where you can't necessarily copyright a recipe, but you can copyright like this. If you include the story, then the recipe is included in it's all copyright issues, basically what it amounts to, where you can't copyright somebody else. You could copyright somebody's recipe if it's just posted out there. But if they had the story along with it, then I don't know. It's probably a legal loophole. But let me see here. So Maggie, what is your answer? Then when I first published, I was curious about how it was going now that the series was out for a while. Ah, okay. Okay. That I could definitely do. Unfortunately, I mean, I could do that right now because unfortunately there isn't much. I am getting almost no sales via KDP. So it is good to have available to me. And I do use KDP's there's something where I can drop the price down to free for a week-long period, and then I get a spike in people who buy my book, but I don't really get reads from it because a lot of people who see that just kind of collect ebooks and then just let them sit in their library and get around to it, whatever. So yeah, I don't really get regular sales. I do. The only time I'm consistently get sales is when I go to in-person events, and some in-person events are better than others. So that being said, as of right now, I am set up for AwesomeCon, which is the first weekend in April, or at least I'm set to go to it. And in theory, I'm going to Kensington Row Books, although there was a whole issue with their sign up. So I don't know, even though I did already pay for a table, I don't technically know if I have a table, which is really weird. And then I signed up for Balticon, and I should be hearing sometime soon with that on whether or not I was accepted. I hope I am, because I do thoroughly enjoy going up to Baltimore, and Balticon is a lot of fun, even if I don't make back my full table. But oh well. Day at the Can vlog. Yeah. Day at the Con vlog. Perfect. I could definitely do that. Yeah, well, what are sales? Exactly. So that's why Google optimization, SEO, and all that is both good and bad. It does make my books easier to find, easier to be searched for, whatever. But the amount of money and time that I would need to devote to excel in that would far outweigh any number of sales that I get from it. So again, the best place to get sales, it's good that I have this platform. It's good that I have KDP and everything. So I have the books available as ebooks. But the true successes that I get are from the true sales and the true just fun interactions with potential readers are from the in-person events. So unfortunately, I don't have good advice in terms of platforms to use. Ooh, you're going step in August is your first step. Okay. Cool. Well, good luck in August. I I feel like I did do a prep for how I prepped for Balticon way back when, but I should do an update on that because I definitely did bring way more than I needed. and I could do an episode on how I prepare for things. So let me make a note of that. So we got ideas. I'm just taking notes right here. So we have, first of all, more collabs. More collabs. And prep for cons. What to take. Updated for 2025. And more specifically, how not to overpack. Because so for AwesomeCon, where we drop off our, well, where the cars can drop us off, it is a good hike to where we are actually seated. And so luckily, well, getting there, I had to do one box at a time, which was unfortunate because it took it was very long to go back and forth because I had to go down flight of stairs and then over and then down another flight of stairs and then over to where my actual table was. But luckily, on the way back or on the final day, I was able to sell enough that I was able to carry both the giant bins together, which was not easy because, again, I had to go up 2 flights of stairs. Well, I used the escalator, but I had to go up 2 different escalators, and then I had to go up one escalator and then walk over and then do another escalator and then walk over to where the car was. But it was physically draining. So yeah, definitely great idea to discuss how not to carry too much, because I brought a lot more books than I needed. And even amongst the people who were selling like crazy, I still could have gotten away with only carrying 1 bin instead of 2. And yes, you were in fact at Balticon, which was a lot of fun to hang out with you and meet again in person. Writing and publishing are 2 different things. Yes. Have I pitched this classic? No. My books are a little bit too adult for Scholastic. They're kind of new adult. And so, I mean, there's at least one F-bomb in every book. I wouldn't feel comfortable having those in a Scholastic. My books and their market are not aligned with Scholastic. Although I do thoroughly miss those Scholastic book fairs. Those were incredible. Interesting. Yeah, first time con versus being a returning guest. I could do something about that. That sounds cool. Yeah, Martin, how do you know I'm not in fact broadcasting out of Richard's basement? Oh boy, we're starting all kinds of paranoid theories. Hmm. But yeah, honestly, again, thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to do one more 20-minute sprint and I'm going to call it for today. But you are honestly the reason why I keep doing this, why I've done this for almost 4 years, why I've done 200 episodes, because I just have fun hanging out with you. And yes, you also do hold me accountable to actually get my writing done, because when I wasn't doing these productivity sprints, I wasn't really writing for a good couple, I think about 6 months without writing. So you are holding me accountable. But look, this is just a fun way to hang out on a Saturday or on my normal schedule. It's just a fun way to make Mondays more bearable, honestly. Mondays are getting progressively more and more difficult. And it is good to have something to look forward to. So that way I know that, hey, my workday is done. No matter what happens, I need to leave by 5 so that way I can get a good walk and then I can come and start doing this channel. Yeah, I know. Scary. It is Saturday. No, I'm not actually chained to the chair. Oh man. Yeah. The fun theories about my life outside of this little screen are always fun. Actually, yeah. It was really fun too, because the first time I met Lauren and Nicole, I think Lauren, you like heard my voice and then you just started, reaching your hand higher and higher because you found out that I was in fact, reasonably tall. For what it's worth, I range from 5'11" to 6 foot, depending on how much I stretch, I guess. And yeah, so it's very hard to tell my actual size based on this little, when you can only see me from the chest up, I guess. But I am in fact about 6 feet tall. I got springy legs. I used to be a lot more muscular, but I've kind of narrowed my frame down a little bit. I'm not that tall. To be fair, I'm actually the runt in my family. My oldest stepbrother tops out at 6'4", I think. And yes, I know I'm not actually related to my stepbrother, but by blood, but like, they're family. So, and then with my stepbrother, who is closer in height to me, I think, well, he's a mountain climber, so he's now kind of really stretched his arm out. His body has become a lot more stretched out. He also does a lot of actual stretching, which helps. Whereas I'm like this tight wound thing of muscles. And I think I'm about an inch taller than my brother, but either way, we're about the same size. So then it's mostly legs. I don't think I'm mostly legs. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, I am going to do a 20-minute sprint. Feel free to join me if you like, or feel free to just guess whether or not I am in fact in front of a green screen and am in fact chained to Richard's basement. I don't know. I'll let the rumors fly. But yes, I would like to do one more sprint and then we'll hang out here for a few minutes and I will call it. And we can wrap up episode 200 of Running to Right, which is really scary to think because I know I said this at the 100th episode. I know I said this at 150. I know I said this at every milestone, but I really didn't think I would be here. I didn't think I would still be putting out content 4 years from. And yes, I know it's not technically 4 years yet, but we are almost there. I didn't think, fine, let me rephrase that. After putting out episode 1, I didn't think I would have 199 more in me. There we go. So that is factually correct. Whereas I haven't quite I haven't quite done this for 4 years yet. So I don't want to jump any, I don't want to jump too far ahead of where I actually am. But in 2 months' time, 2.5 months' time, I will be there at 4 full years of Running to Right. I know. Yep. There are so many episodes here. And thank you, everybody, for being here with me. You've watched as I've learned the hard way about how to write and how to publish a book, and then how to sit back down and do it again, and then again, and kind of halfway through the 4th book right now. So, well, less than half. I'm maybe a third of the way through. So I need to pick it up. And that's why I keep doing these productivity sprints, which is why I'm going to start the productivity sprint right now. Yes, we definitely do need some cake. You know what? If you are at Balticon, then yeah, sure. I'll find a way to get cake for us. And if there was that sweet store across the street from the convention center, so yeah, I can get some cake or something like that. You know what? You're right. I will put a note here of let them eat cake. Balticon. There we go. Buy cake. Or Balticon. Cool. Well, now that there is actually an item in my calendar to do it, guess I'm going to have to just buy some cake. But for right now, I'm going on mute. I will write for 20 minutes, and then we can reconvene afterwards and close out episode 200. And welcome back for the second sprint. I know we are going much, much slower today, but there's a lot more talking involved. And so let's see, I was at 736 for words. And now I am at, wow, 1027. Okay, so I wrote 300 words now. I wrote 300 words before. So in total, I had about 600, just shy of 600 words written today, which is pretty good. And I think I'm going to call that a success. Sweet. Enjoy making lunch, Maggie. I don't know if you're on East Coast time, if this is late lunch, or if you are not, and this is a regularly scheduled lunch. Lauren, enjoy editing, and I'm glad that you were here. Let's see. And again, everyone, I just want to thank you all for being here, not only for today, but for just hanging out when I do my normal videos or watching them on replay or whatever. It's awesome hanging out here. It's awesome hanging out on your channels. And I'm so utterly thankful and humbled by how many of you I've met through Authortube and BookTube and this surprising number of you who I've started to meet in real life, which is really cool, actually. Because, 20 years ago, if you say, hey, I met a friend on, I'm going to go meet a friend on the, I'm going to go meet a friend who I met on the internet. Well, people would think you're crazy. But I mean, obviously you can get a little bit of rapport set beforehand because you can actually see what a person looks like and they aren't just a random chat bot trying to talk to you and, do bad things. But more importantly, you all are real. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And I hope that I continue to support you in all of your endeavors and all of your fantastic books that are being written. I have found so many really unique and interesting indie books that honestly I never would have found without this channel or your channel. And yeah, here's to another 200 episodes. We'll see. That is 4 more years. Yeah, we can do it. 4 more years. By then there will be somebody new leading the United States. So I will have to last at least that long. Unless of course YouTube just stops being YouTube between now and then. And in which case I might shift over to stream to Steam. What's the video game streaming thing? Twitch. There we go. Twitch is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So if YouTube ever goes down, I might just switch over to Twitch, and then it might be easier to film myself, talk about video games, and talk about writing, and talk about all kinds of random things that are going on. Yes, Twitch is what I was talking about. Thank you. But again, thank you, everyone. And if you have ideas for things you want me to talk about, I have some ideas for prepping for con. I have some collaboration ideas that we can try and work on. But if nothing else, thank you everyone for being here and thank you for supporting me. I do this all because of you. So you only have yourself to blame if I go for 200 more episodes. An update on writing around your full-time job. Don't do it. That's my update. Yeah, that was easier when I was more of a grunt. But now that I have significantly more responsibilities, it is extremely difficult to find the time to write. I mean, we are 2 months. We are a little bit over a month into the new year, and I have written maybe 8,000 words. I should probably track this better. I am doing terrible with that. But if every day I write about 600 words. I've probably written about 20 times per day. So yeah, I might have gotten 10,000 words in since the start of the year, which isn't great as a metric. So yeah, my full-time job is definitely eating away at my creativity. And a lot of the advice I gave no longer really applies because I'm just so utterly burnt out at the end of most days that I am functionally brain dead and can't really think in terms of creativity. So, yeah, I do treat it as a brain break, but a lot of times I just need to sit there and just mindlessly play whatever video game I'm doing or read or watch some stupid video because I don't know, work is really taking it out of me and that is a new situation. So maybe I can find a way to, I don't know, downgrade myself, take a pay cut, find an easier job, and go at it from that approach. But for right now, it is really tough to find the time to write. And honestly, the mostly my pattern is that I will work on a new chapter starting on Monday. I might get in some writing on Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe on Saturday, and then I'll finish off that chapter and then new start a new chapter on here for a productivity sprint on Monday. And I think that's my pattern. Although if I'm going to be doing some traveling this weekend, so I might try and get some writing in, but either way, we'll see. Anyways, that's all tangent and ranty. So thank you all for being here, and I will see you all next time. Although, to be fair, sorry. Next, a week from Monday is President's Day, so I'm not going to be having my episode that night. I'm going to be postponing it to that Tuesday. So I will see you all on Tuesday, the 18th. There we go. Remember, because there is this episode this weekend, I'm not going to be doing a productivity sprint this Monday. So I will see you all. The next time I'll see you is Tuesday, the 18th. And with that, take care, everyone. And thank you for joining. Again, I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful Saturday.